Hello, and welcome back to Even More News, the first and only news podcast. I'm Katy, Stoll.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. You know what? I could, and I'm going to. You are so Katy Stoll.
I thought you were going to say I agree with you completely.
I do.
That would have been
But I
the
said
move.
something different. Sorry.
You did.
Keep it on your
Jonathan's
nose.
also here, too.
Jonathan
Oh,
is
boy.
one other person who is here.
We're stoked to be recording at 8 p.m.
It's just 8. It's fine.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
The sun's still out for a bit more.
It is actually.
We are recording late because we watched the debates for y'all.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about them. And we're jazzed. We're so stoked. We're so freaking stoked about it.
2024, the year of the sludge.
I don't know. Rodent. Look, we're going to get into it. Plenty to talk about. But first, let's just lighten the mood a bit with some
How are we gonna
holidays.
do that? Holidays.
Boy.
Perfect.
Oh, gosh.
Debate night.
You're not going to
Happy
love
debate
this.
night.
Happy debate night. Friday, June 28th. National Insurance Awareness Day.
What
It
insurance
encourages
company
us
made
to
this
review
holiday?
our insurance policies. Yeah,
Which one
I
was
think
it?
insurance awareness is a good idea. Especially, are we all aware of the insurance crisis that is looming in front of us? You know, lots of people not being able to get insurance because they live in high-risk zones. Anyway, this is a fun day to celebrate.
Fun day to
Which,
celebrate. I love
from now on is the world.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
On National Day Calendar, which is this information. It's all this information about how to find like a good quote for insurance and like all this insurance information. At the very bottom it says, National Day Calendar is researching the origins of this security holiday. While we do, check out these other home and health preparedness days. And then there's a link to National Preparedness Month, which I think is helpful actually.
National Preparedness Month.
Yeah, I would suspect, though, that the origins of this security holiday is an insurance company.
Yeah.
I think that's safe to assume.
100%.
I think
Yeah.
you can safely assume that.
Okay, this next one's more fun, though.
Ooh.
I can get behind this.
Yeah.
Saturday, June 29th, International Mud Day.
Ooh.
International Mud Day strives to bring children from all over the world together through the ground by allowing them to play in the mud. Okay.
Awkwardly phrased.
Why does it
Yeah,
have to just be
probably.
kids? Kids get all the fun.
You can go in the mud.
Kids did not have to stay and watch the freaking debate. And now they get their whole day to play in the mud.
Are you saying that we got to do that?
No, we had
We got
do
to watch
that.
the debate. Unlike you stupid kids.
I apologize if it came out in that way. I meant had to.
You don't have to apologize.
I'm saying
The
that
presidents do.
kids get to not.
To America.
Yeah.
But yeah, go in the mud.
Go
Or
in the mud.
get to some mud slinging, which is a political term, which
There you
is
go.
what we're going to talk about in a moment.
We are really avoiding the fact that we're here to talk about the debate that just happened. That
Did it not
happened.
go well?
Hey
Did it-
guys, that happened.
I'm thinking, so that happened.
So that happened.
Oh.
Is my reaction.
Yeah.
Out of the gate, that's my reaction.
My other reaction? That went well. All right.
Third reaction, womp womp.
We are definitely homeschooling. That's my reaction.
The hit, Lady Ballers, the quotable Lady Ballers. It happened. Like, it did happen. Like, I know, like, so that happened. It did. They did it.
How about this? I'll start by reading some of the headlines on some of the news websites.
Here we go.
Perfect.
This is a
I
nice
love
way to
hearing
approach
what
this.
the news websites think about how things went.
Let's see. The New York Times. Biden struggles as Trump blusters. Okay.
That's
Okay.
fair.
NBC News. Biden delivers shaky performance, Trump dodges accepting election results.
He did do that.
That's true. That is true.
So
Yeah,
far, they
but-
are accurate.
CNN.com. Biden and Trump trade barbs on multiple fronts.
That's not.
Really just taking a
That's not good. That's milk
really
toast.
real informative
None
there.
of them are calling Donald Trump a pathological liar. Like, I mean, just half the shit coming out of his mouth is fundamentally so easily shown
He is
as
a
false.
powerful liar. Yeah.
Powerful liar, and it's hard to keep up with them. And they sure didn't try at all, did they? Ha, ha, ha.
Yeah. Ha 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 ha. There was this sort of frustrating phenomenon that we sort of realized as the debate went on was it was two sides of incoherence in different ways, where Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. Was kind of hard to follow sometimes. To me,
Most of the time.
Sounded most of the time. I'm really trying to be generous, but a lot of it reminded me of like AI voice capture stuff, and like where it's like there are no periods between sentences, and it's just sort of a hey, did you notice that this happened and this happened and this happened and then we do this, and it's sort of like a list with like no breath in between, where he's like rattling it off, but like also with not the strongest sense that he knows exactly what he's saying. Like there wasn't a lot of tone to it. Which, it's just, that's just optics.
He warmed up halfway through, which I have to imagine are the stimulants kicking in some capacity. That was mean. I don't know. No, he just got his legs under him, but the damage was done. His voice got started, or maybe I just got used to his voice by then.
Well, allegedly he has a cold.
Allegedly. Yes, they didn't put that out before the debate started. They put that out in the middle of the debate as damage control.
So funny, because the tweet that I saw about it was like breaking. Like we just got word that like according to two sources, Joe Biden has a cold. There are two spaces between Joe Biden and has, and I really want to know like what they were trying to type. Where like they type the tweet and they're like something this, and they're gonna change it, and they add an extra space because you're rewording it, and then it turns out
I think it was gonna be, according to two sources, Joe Biden is legally dead, and then they had to get rid of that.
My thought was has died.
He only has a cold. He's not quite yet. Oh, I need to finish the thought because I need to be fair. I need to be fair and balanced. And honestly, T and M. CR,
C and R.
CM, TM, CR. Who knows what the phrase is anymore? Joe Biden had trouble speaking in a way that was easy to follow, in a coherence sort of fashion. And Donald Trump had a similar problem that was also very different, in that it was hard to follow him because he's just a wild man, and he will hear a question about childcare and how to make affordable childcare, and then he'll ramble for about a minute and a half about how Joe Biden has never fired anybody and doesn't like firing people. And he'll just lie, and he lies and lies and lies, and it's kind of a struggle to decipher, like, what are you saying, but in a different way than it is hard to decipher what Joe Biden is saying.
Right. Different, equally
not a good
hard
situation
to decipher, but very different reasons.
Yeah.
I would say that Donald Trump started off, like, I felt like he was contained to start, and he was more on script to start. He was bringing stuff back around to a point, but it did devolve very rapidly for him, and he started going off, just doing his thing. But yeah, really difficult, really hard to keep up in the moment with them. It's really hard to fact check either side because, I'm not just going to say Donald Trump.
I had this whole document, and I'm like, here's where I'm going to fact check the salient points.
I know,
each
like
candidate. What was I thinking?
After like the first 2 minutes, like, I don't know if this is gonna work out. Like,
yeah, no,
you tried though. Like, you did your best.
You did try.
There's some stuff.
And in fact, like, this was highly disturbed versus virtually incoherent, right?
Yes.
But like, Biden said way fewer false things than Trump.
Yes.
I think I can say that fairly.
That is...
Trump said wildly incorrect things, blatant lies, and I think he largely got away with it because the moderators didn't do that. I saw people saying, like, I think Jake Tapper and Dana Bash are the only people here doing a good job, and all they did was ask the questions. If that's all you're going to do is say, thank you, next question for you, sir, and then ask the question.
Who was saying they did a good job, though?
There were
Jonah Goldberg. I mean,
I'll say one thing that I learned tonight is that her name is Dana. I didn't know that.
Allegedly.
I did think it was Dana. Allegedly.
And there were 2 times where either Dana or Jack said, like, they asked a question and there was like 2 minutes of rambling, and then one of them would be like, thank you, the question was this, and they repeated the question because they didn't answer the question. But it only happened like twice by my estimation, And it could have happened every single question.
I'll say, oh God, there's no version of this election that is good for the American people.
I was blown, like, as the thing started and Trump came out, I was like, damn, it's kind of fucking wild that this is the third time for him. This is the third election for Donald Trump.
He's getting better at it.
Like, that is he?
No, but at the beginning, I did think that
his stride.
At the beginning of the debate, I did think he's getting better at this debate.
Well, he's definitely more lucid at the beginning, comparatively.
Yeah, I just mean
it devolves,
he seemed more poised than he has in the past, but that didn't last long. Although, he just was a counterbalance to Biden, who I know that people get upset. We're being frank here. I'm being frank here, which is, I think and we've been paying close attention to his condition, and we all were very taken aback by him out of the gate. Like, we all had the same look on our faces, and I think America did.
Yeah, I was.
My mom was very upset.
We have talked about it. Obviously his state. I think it's reasonable to say even 4 years ago he's lost a bit of a step in his.
He's a different man.
Different man. And I think we were saying that for a long time, and it slowly, and I think a lot of the Democratic Party, even candidates at the time, I think Elizabeth Warren alluded to it at one point. It was very clear. Everyone kind of thought, like, man, this is getting kind of old. Maybe this isn't a great idea. He got the nomination, and then it was all in on him. And over the next few years, it sort of became like taboo to bring up that he's like getting kind of old and like not doing so hot. There are obviously clips that are out of context. There's some clips that are in context. There's some clips where he's doing a great job. Well, a great job. He's doing a fine job being able to talk and articulate and talk about these complex issues. But there's also this other stuff that isn't made up. It's not a fabrication. Even if you think it's maybe overblown in some way and unfair, it's not made up because everyone agreed to it. And then slowly over the years, we're like, oh, we can't say that. Like, he's doing fine. This is this. And so I did go into this kind of expecting him to not do the job that he did tonight.
To have a performance like he did at the State of the Union, which seemed more competent and together than people expected.
Yeah.
And I don't, I don't think we should talk about this the entire time. I do think it is the story of this debate is Biden's performance. But there was other stuff that happened. So I think, can we play this clip, the Medicare COVID clip to get a sense for people who didn't watch of what this was?
Sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
I mean, if Aaron Rupar is like, this isn't a good moment for Biden, it's like, that is not a good moment for...
And I didn't play the clip of Trump right afterwards saying, well, he's right, he did beat Medicare, he beat it to death or whatever.
I want to be clear. Like, there's plenty of people, he has dementia, this, that, or the other. No, that's not dementia. That's an old man on a stage under hot lights in an extremely stressful situation.
With a cold.
With a cold. This is the president of the United States. It's a stressful job. You can't perform like that. You just can't.
It does not instill confidence. And this is the guy who we need to beat back fascism, and the end of democracy, etc.
The energy, especially as the evening went on, you would notice that Biden would end his answers with like a minute left of time. And that's really stood out to me as well. And I know this doesn't have to be the only thing we talk about all night, but I'm just like, we need someone, use that time. Tell me what you want to do. Tell me your plans. But you're losing your train of thought and you don't have the energy. And that's not a diss. Go retire.
It's just true. And it's like, people see it and you can be like, well, he's this, he's fine. But that's not what people see. And that's just the truth about people watching this kind of thing. And I don't know. It's especially frustrating and frightening because I do believe that in some sense he does believe, like, he's like, yeah, this is like democracy's on the line. Because, yeah, look at the other guy. Look at the stuff he's saying he wants to do. All the things, they're all true about what a fucking piece of shit Donald Trump is. Look at all of our videos. But if that's true, it would be nice if you maybe set aside whatever ego or whatever is keeping you in this position and this like staunch, like, it's got to be me. Set that aside for the sake of the nation that you would like to save, for the sake of democracy that you would like to save, and pick literally anybody else who can respond to this guy. Yeah, if anybody else was up there responding to him about like all the lies he said, he said. I would love Pete Buttigieg. Mayor Buttigieg. Pete, get up there.
You're plenty bold, buddy. You are plenty bold.
Plenty bold. Jumping for joy. But Mayor Pete genuinely, former Mayor Pete, sorry.
Former Mayor Pete. Transportation Secretary. Especially as we're talking right now, I feel a lot of anger because the writing has been on the wall this entire time. We thought he was too old before. And like we've been talking about this for a long time now, and there were a lot of opportunities for the Democratic Party, for Joe Biden, for anybody to speak sense. You think he's the only one that can beat Donald Trump? Get out of here. Like, this is insane.
Yeah, I know he believed that 4 years ago. I don't think even Biden can believe that now after
that he's the only one.
No. The Democratic Party must be in panic tonight, right? The DNC is in panic.
Oh, I've already seen so many things about that. Yeah, they absolutely are.
Just so fucking irresponsible. This whole thing, it's just...
Well, although I will say this, and this is too much benefit of the doubt probably, and too much credit to the 5D chess players up in the DNC, it kind of seems like they agreed to... This is an historically early debate. They don't normally do these debates before the conventions, before both conventions. There's technically no nominee for either party yet, officially. They have not officially made either of these people the nominee for their party. Part of me does think that maybe they agreed to this early on because this is what everyone is going to see. And if you see this, then it's hard to ignore. And even Democratic operatives and like the Aaron Rupars of the world, or all these people who've been like, he's sharper than ever, actually. Maybe this will get people to say the thing that we've been saying for years. And it might be just sort of like, well, we do this before the convention. There's a snowball effect. And then we can replace him with whomever.
Maybe.
Literally whomever.
You think that could be the plan?
I don't know if it's the plan, but I think that's probably on the table now.
This?
Like, because again, like whether or not it's the plan, which maybe that was part of it, but whether or not it was the plan, that should be a possibility now. Because there is no nominee right now. There's none.
Because he beat Trump once, I can understand the bandwagon thing. Like, why would we change now? He did it once. He can do it again. After tonight, I think they have to think, well, I think Kamala would have a better chance than this guy. I think Gavin Newsom I think Joanna Newsom would have a better chance than Biden. Pete Buttigieg, right? Like, there are people that the Democratic Party has, maybe not the strongest bench, but like Gavin Newsom has to be sitting there being like, I'm in my 50s.
I'm ready.
Moderately attractive. I do debates. I go on Fox News.
You're sharp. You can respond to things. That's the thing. Like,
and
watching
he's smarmy.
But the thing is also because generally, polling shows that people do agree with the Democratic Party on most things. They support generic Democrats. They support specific Democrats. They think that MAGA Republicans and the GOP are kind of real fucking out there now, and they're freaks. And so generally people they are desperate to support the Democratic Party right now. Not everybody, obviously, but a lot of people are. But conversely, Joe Biden doesn't have a lot of support. it is very difficult to get people to support him specifically, though generally they're like, oh yeah, Democratic Party, they believe in this and this and this and these things. I would love to vote for a generic Democrat, but when it gets down to Joe Biden, it gets a lot tougher. And part of it, is his approval started to go down during the Afghanistan withdrawal, which is like wild to me. It's like, no, that's a good thing. It's like, don't get mad at him now. And then since then, it's been like slowly declining, and obviously Gaza and everything going on. But here we are, where everyone is like, generic Dem, very good. I'm going to vote down ticket. I'm going to vote for the senators. I'm going to vote for the Congress people. I'm all on board. But Joe is like not doing so hot, and I think he's just like sort of laid bare here.
Right, this might be an opportunity where you can kind of get generic Democrat, just to allow everyone in the party to like relax a little bit. And like, even if they agree with Joe on Gaza and they're going to keep doing all the horrible things, I still think it would relax people in that, like, well, he hasn't done it yet. They haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we can exhale and vote for who the ever.
Whitmer, whoever. Again, former Mayor Pete. What an amazing president that guy will be. I'll say it right now. What a fantastic president former Mayor Pete will be.
Get that nerd in the office.
God.
Bernard Sanders, perhaps.
Bernard Sanders, honestly.
On.
Like,
Give
oh
us
my
Bernie,
God, come
for
on.
Fuck's sake.
What if
or
this
Gavin
is what
Newsom.
ushers Bernie
into
the White House? You got to
whatever,
like
whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Warren, like there's like generic Dem. And I think that is clear, so clear tonight. Maybe debate number 2 will go better, but it doesn't bode well.
We need to,
despite the fact that, again, his opponent is a liar, and he's just a bad person, and
a convicted criminal,
and a convicted felon. All the things he tried to steal the election. It's all there. We all know. But
one interesting Democrat thing is I got a text asking for money during the debate.
I
have not received one since the debate ended, and I feel like they're all holding
wonder if I did.
text button.
Let's see. Let's all remember my funny joke. What was my funny joke?
I don't remember.
I said I just got a text asking for money, and I believe you said for a funeral.
Yeah, for Biden's funeral.
I laughed. It was a fun.
Yeah.
I did want to revisit before we talk about Donald Trump. What was the thing that Biden said about abortion?
He was talking about Roe v. Wade's trimester test. He goes, it used to be, the first trimester is between a woman and her doctor. Second trimester is a doctor in an extreme situation. And the third trimester is between a doctor and the state. But he said time instead of trimester. So it came out as a jumble of words. And it was very disappointing because abortion is his issue. Hammer this guy.
And I believe the question was, do you support
a national ban?
Or like, it was actually about like, how late can you are you allowed to get an abortion?
Well, because Trump said this guy supports abortion after birth, which Biden, I don't believe, responded to.
Right. And I'm like, you are not answering any of the questions. Or,
that was true the whole time. Just it was so difficult to like coordinate that because they ask and they don't jump in. They're not like, hey, could you answer the question? So you have these answers that are all over the place, and then this fucking old guy has to like decipher like, well, what do I respond to? Do I respond to the question? Do I respond to the lies? And he usually chose to just, I guess, respond to the lies a little bit. I don't know.
Yes, you do. Cody.
Again, it's just frustrating because you have this like two-sided thing where like, well, one is lying and all over the place. And again, asked about how would you make childcare more affordable. And he spent the entire time talking about how Biden doesn't fire people. What are we doing? And then the other guy is just like, I don't know what you're saying. You're saying time instead of trimester, and like it's just you're not. I've said this many times in this podcast before, and I'm sorry, but so much of a president's job is communication, being able to communicate to the American people, and I don't think he's very good at it.
I do. If you want to play that trimester clip, I found it, unfortunately, on the X page of Charlie Kirk, but here it is.
Oh, he blocked me. I can see what his profile picture is now.
Do you support any legal limits on how late a woman should be able to terminate a pregnancy?
I supported Roe v. Wade, which had 3 trimesters. First time is between the woman and the doctor. Second time is between the doctor and an extreme situation. The third time is between the doctor, between the woman and the state. The idea that the politicians, that the founders wanted the politicians to be the ones making decisions about women's health is ridiculous. That's the last. No politician should be making that decision. A doctor should be making those decisions. That's how it should be run. That's what you're going to do. And if I'm elected, I'm going to restore Roe v. Wade.
Painful. Painful the first time, painful the second.
Okay, he doesn't want to say, he's Catholic, he doesn't want to say, I love all abortions, whatever.
I love all abortions equally.
I like the standard of Roe v. Wade. The idea that the state should be able to make decisions for a woman's reproductive health is ridiculous. That's a good point that he kind of made.
He just can't make his, he can't, that's the thing,
really,
again, it's that AI voice thing where he's just like, this happened, then we got to do this, and we got to do that, and then everything else is going on, so we got to do this, and then that's what I said. What? Like,
I don't think he made any point at all.
When you're communicating as a communicator, you need to emphasize certain things to make your point clear. It's what politicians do, and it should be very easy, and it's especially frustrating with issues like that. It was like that's the issue. You should be able to not only say the words correctly, but say it at a pace that shows us not only that you understand what you're saying, but that you want to communicate a specific thing and a specific point to the people who are listening. Otherwise, you're just going to be like, and then you got to say the thing, and then you got to make sure that people understand what the thing you're saying to the American people. What did I just say? Was it important? I don't know, because it's all the same. And just take more Adderall, Joe. I don't know.
Okay,
what you gotta do?
We're gonna take a break for ads, and then we're gonna come back. Don't worry. Hey, audience, don't worry. Be happy. We're gonna talk about Donald Trump too. So chill out. I know a lot of you are like, talk about the other guy, and we get it, but we're upset about our guy being this. But we're gonna have a reset. We're gonna get the vibes good. We're gonna listen to ads.
We're gonna listen to ads.
And we're back. It's hard to even know where to begin with Donald Trump's performance, partly because I can't follow a lot of the things that he's saying, and it's really difficult to track. But one thing became clear, especially in the second half, which is every single question was going to be turned into immigration. And that is the threat. That is the big
they're
thing.
The poison.
It's not Hillary,
the country. Yeah.
Hillary, whatever. It's not, COVID, whatever. Now it's immigration. I guess immigration has always been one of the hits.
Yeah, but he definitely did
was
pivot
really
to it
leaning
a lot
into
more.
it. Every single question came back to that.
Side note, real quick detour. I'm so sorry, but you mentioned Hillary, and I have to point out that at one point Trump was like,
"Oh
Joe Biden, you did this, and you hate black people or whatever you said. You even called them super predators 20 years ago, whatever. I forget the time frame he gave. That is very famously something that Hillary Clinton said.
Such a good point.
It's just one of those things where it's like he is all over the place too.
Yeah,
and
it's
I don't
really
want
important.
to downplay that he also isn't quite on
it's just
the case,
tough because
if he's saying he's
so
inflating all these things, and
well, we're so used to him just throwing out whatever shit, so it's harder to track what his cognitive abilities are.
Right, because he's also very at least performatively his presentation.
He's robust.
He looks and sounds more lucid. He seems more articulate. I'm not saying he is, but he seems that way because in contrast, you have a guy who's like this, and he says the thing, and there we go, and that's my answer. Compared to, you're not gonna we gotta kill everybody, right? It's he's saying things that are still bad and still wrong and still lies and misinformation, all this kind of stuff, but he's saying them in a way that it seems like he's just more alert, and I think that is just
he doesn't seem physically frail.
Right.
I mean, that's a big part of it.
Trump also benefits now by having exhausted everyone's ability to fact check, right? Mm-hmm. The moderators clearly decided they weren't going to fact check Trump in real time. Yep. They'll let the analysts
what's the
do
point?
That.
Yeah.
And so he won. He just gets to say anything. And he did. I lost track. I couldn't keep up. I followed Daniel Dale, who's back and trying to, I'm going to do it. I'm going to fact check everything. You know, he said that Biden created jobs he only created jobs for undocumented immigrants. He said illegal immigrants. It's like, no, what are you talking about? He says every legal scholar wanted Roe v. Wade thrown out. They were begging. All the legal scholars were begging. You mentioned that he said Joe
Goldberg probably
referred to super predators. That was Hillary. He took credit for the insulin cap that Biden put into place, or he says, I brought insulin prices down, and it wasn't. And then Biden tried to help him out by saying, well, what you're referring to is one company said they would lower price. Like, don't help him. He just made up a lie. Trump said Biden wanted to raise everyone's taxes by 4 times. He wanted to quadruple everyone's taxes.
He said in regards to climate change, we had H2O. We had the best numbers ever. I don't know what that means.
H2O.
We used to have the best H2O. We have great H2O.
I don't know what that means, man. Also, like, in the context of climate change, it's very frustrating that the question is so generically like, well, what do you do about climate change? I forget how they ask the question. But, like, you know that one of them has to pretend like they don't believe in it. So, like, why are you asking in this way where you can be like, well, we actually had really good water and it's like we had the best numbers of water that has ever been heard of. But he doesn't believe in climate change.
Yeah, like, just ask
again,
you believe in climate change.
Yeah, I don't know. And you're not going to get much out of that probably because the people he's playing to really like when he says that it's fake or whatever. But it's just like these questions that don't really take into account who you're asking the question of. And then you get quotes like, we had H2O, we had the best numbers ever. Great stuff from former President Trump.
By what metric? What do you mean by that? And I'm not saying that they have to, stop the debate
and like bully him
and read
and
from
like,
PolitiFact or anything like that. We know that's not going to happen. But say, what do you mean by that? When, I'd say for most of what Trump said, you could either say that's not true, and it's not true, or what?
Right. Yeah, that's
Did
not
you
true.
say?
Or what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
Explain yourself a little bit. Yeah. When he said Biden was a weak Palestinian.
That was a fun moment.
Yeah, Biden's been so bad for Israel. He's basically been a Palestinian and a weak Palestinian at that. And then, to everyone's credit, who's been saying Trump would be way worse, Trump said we should let him go in and finish the job and everything.
Yeah, we know.
Did at one point say Biden let Israel do that or something like that.
I think he meant Hamas, but it was another incoherent, he meant it never would have happened.
Also, Netanyahu let that happen, actually, as we continue to learn every fucking day.
But he's saying if it wasn't for Biden, October 7th wouldn't have happened. I mean, but he also said the same thing. He said Russia never would have invaded Ukraine. The rest of the world would have stopped doing rest of the world stuff.
Yeah, I know.
While Trump was president.
It's wild.
Just absurd. Jake Tapper could have just said, what makes you think that?
Yeah. How do you mean?
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not actually what I'm about to say. It's not unfortunate, but unfortunately, there wasn't any wars while he was in office. Not because of him.
But he was able to say
keeping
that.
the rest of the world in check. But
he didn't start new. Yeah.
Afghanistan.
He didn't start a war, and so now. He's like, well, it didn't. They didn't start the wars when I was in office, so it must have been me that meant that didn't happen then.
But other people started the wars.
Yeah, I know.
America didn't do that. So no, I know. So it's just okay, so Russia invades Ukraine, and you'd be like, good job, guys. We'll help you. Is what would happen. What a frustrating man against a frustrating man.
I do have. I don't know. If we want to listen to this whole thing, there's this bit about Trump saying, because, abortion's his weakest issue in this election. And he was asked about it. Do you support a national ban? And he started talking about that you got to follow your heart. He said it a couple times.
He kept saying, I have the biggest heart on stage or something. And what did he say?
Also, I just, before you listen to this, in 2016, in an interview, he literally said that women who get abortions should be imprisoned. So I just don't necessarily trust what he's saying. Why bother asking him any of these questions? He's on a podcast like a week ago, and he's like, visas for like immigrants who finished college. The day that happened, his campaign was like, no, we're not going to do that. Like, don't believe the things he says even more than you should not believe the things that any politician says.
That's honestly
even more
the
than
best.
that, don't believe him. He will say whatever. He said he would release the JFK files when he was the president. He was the president for 4 years, and he didn't do that. He was asked about it again. He's like, yeah, I'll do that. No, you won't. No, you won't. Whatever. We'll listen to this answer.
Like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions. I am a person that believes. And frankly, I think it's important to believe in the exceptions. Some people, you have to follow your heart. Some people don't believe in that. But I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think it's very important. Some people don't. Follow your heart. But you have to get elected also. And because that has to do with other things. You got to get elected.
That's the one.
The problem they have is they're radical because they will take the life of a child in the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth. After birth, if you look at the former governor of Virginia, he was willing to do this. He said, we'll put the baby aside and we'll determine what we do with the baby, meaning we'll kill the baby.
I mean, so when you have to follow your heart, but you have to get elected. I don't quite understand that.
Well, what he's saying, it's interesting because it's one of those things that I think a lot of people find refreshing when he says stuff like that, because what he's saying is, I have to lie so that I'm elected. That's what he means. Like, well, yeah, you got to follow your heart, but you also got to get elected. So you have to say the thing in order to get elected. He's saying what we all know,
but it's
which
like
is that
also
politicians say whatever they need to get elected, which he obviously does. And he's saying that he's just signaling that he's not really like 100% on anything he says, and will roll it back as soon as he's elected. Like, no, actually,
statement. I believe that that's the statement, but it's really hard for me to track anything. You have to follow your heart, but then there's exception for this, but you have to follow your heart, but you have to be elected. I'm like, what are you even talking about?
Oh yeah, he talks like a fucking freak and weirdo that you can't really follow. But he was, I pinned that. I was like, he literally said out loud, you have to get elected. And I thought that was just like, he just said it. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, it's like when he says, I don't believe him in that context when he said it. He's like, oh, I wish Biden had been a good president so I could be on a beach somewhere. But I believe him when he says, like, I wish I didn't have to do this.
Yeah.
Oh,
isn't that weird? Because Biden's
he brought up so many times.
There's the story about how Biden only wanted to run to get rid of Trump or because of Charlottesville and stuff. You have two candidates who are like, I don't really want to be here. Man.
I feel like
then
I have
go home.
to.
Take your ball and go home.
You don't have to be here.
I don't know if I
we're all telling
completely
you
believe
don't
that.
have to.
I mean, yeah, he's got other places he could be, but there's something. No, I believe that he's probably tired and doesn't want the job again, but there's his ego, and he does love getting up in front of people. But
wait, who are we talking
maybe
about?
It's less fun than Donald
like,
Trump.
He wants to stay out of jail.
I'm sorry. I literally was like, who?
He wants to stay out of jail. I know.
Yeah, he wants to stay out of jail. That is why. I think because he could get attention otherwise.
Trump claimed that Biden's hit him like, oh, you had sex with a porn star when your wife, and then he goes, I never had sex with a porn star. What, you're denying that?
What? Yeah, you did.
That's the thing that people think is cool.
He's like, she wasn't a star, she was a B-list at best.
It's just like, that's the one thing that everyone, even people who are like, wild man. The case was like the deep state, and actually it's like lawfare. All the lawfare people accept the fact that he had sex with that woman. Like, that is a fact to everybody. The lies, like, well, yeah, they like shouldn't have got me on that, and like hush money and this stuff. It's like, no, but we all agree it happened. That happened.
Trump should have been like, adult film performer, you're disparaging her by doing
sex worker, like, come on, let's not, like, yeah. Trump like talking about that from the left is like such a funny, like, oh god, would never happen. Nothing ever happens from Trump from the left. Stop pretending like that will ever happen. Guess which candidate said, let's not act like children? Donald Trump said it.
I think Biden did too.
Like, maybe. I don't know. I just remember hearing Trump say, like, let's not act like children. Okay, go for it. You first.
The best moment of the whole thing, by best I mean
The end.
My stomach threw out, like fell out. I don't know, whatever. It was terrible. The golf moment.
These two old bastards have to be like, I'd play you in a 8 round. You had a 6 handicap. I had an 8. What?
Why don't you guys just go? You two go off and settle this like men on the golf course.
Straight up, like, go
do that.
18 holes in the middle of August. Go do that. No water for anybody. Just like get really dehydrated the night before and go out in the middle of the day, in the middle of August, and golf 18 holes.
You both have to do it hungover in the Everglades.
Good
Get
luck.
out there. A full 18, no cart. Play the ball where it lies.
No cart, where it lies, exactly. No refreshments, nothing. I feel like it went on for like 8 minutes. Like it was like hell listening to them talk about golf.
I got it. I found a golf account talking about it. They're like, golf got mentioned. You know, when your like your niche thing gets
yes, it's our time.
You know, like if the Taylor Swift gets brought up, all the Swifties like, our thing. You know, if they brought up Star Wars, like
yeah, they're doing it.
Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. The reason I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. But by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf with you if you carry your own bag. You can do it.
That's the biggest rival. He's a 6 handicap of all.
I can't.
8 handicap.
Yeah.
8. But I have, you know how many?
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Let's not act like
oh, and that's what he says. Stop acting like children. He says, "I've seen you swing. I know you're swing."
Here's
that was amazing.
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
A few things. One, what are we doing?
What are we doing?
What is this? What is this? Also, I was told that at all times, one of the candidates' mics would be muted. Why, of all the moments in this entire debate, when the two of them get to talk to each other and we hear what they're saying at the same time, is it this moment about golf? Mm-hmm. Why did you not mute one of them? Because this doesn't matter.
They intentionally unmuted Trump at the beginning. They're like, this is gold. So he's like, you're a 6 handicap. Well, is a 6 handicap? No, I don't think so.
They let him do it. They're like, we need more of this. Like, let's let this moment shine because this is what America wants to see. I don't know how many Americans really care about golf.
Nope, you guys aren't out of touch at all with mainstream America using golf terminology that everyone... I mean, it's pretty simple, but come on.
It's pretty simple, but come on. It just reminds me of that when Biden challenged that guy to a push-up contest.
Oh, yeah. Wait, when was that?
It was during the primaries. Some guy was like... I forget even what he was criticizing him for, but he's like, listen, fat, I'll like do push-ups against you.
Yeah, he called the guy fat.
Didn't call him fat, like change his name to fat. Like, God, whatever.
Yeah, there's like the beginning of the debate, they have their questions, but then at the end, they get right to closing statements, which is like basically the only thing you have to memorize. Right?
And that was
like,
bad too.
Memorize some of your zingers, how you want to answer. They're going to ask about the border. Here's what you say. They're going to ask about abortion. Here's what you say. And here's your closing statement. Here's what you hit them with. And Biden doesn't mention Trump at all. Doesn't mention abortion. Doesn't mention January 6th. Doesn't mention, like, this guy is a singular threat.
What did he say?
He talked about taxes a little bit.
Yeah.
He said, like, well, we're going to simplify the thing, and I'm going to... he mentioned some things.
We're going to do it. Yeah, we're going to do it. So I got that. And then I have to finish it.
His biggest strength in this election is that the other guy's Donald Trump.
Yep.
The other guy's this maniac who tried to overthrow the government.
It's wild.
Bring that up.
There was like one moment in the debate, and it's not even like, oh, he was really lucid. He's like on fire that time. It was just like, yeah, say that. They brought up the fact that, you know, Trump was like, I'm gonna imprison all my opponents or whatever. The retribution part where he's like, yeah, I'm gonna get my revenge or whatever. They asked about that, and Biden said, like, a president doesn't talk like that.
Yeah.
That's good. Good job.
That was good.
Phrase that you slipped in there. And like, it's an example of that, what you're talking about, Jonathan, where it's like, just say the things that we don't want to happen, like mention these things that are very crystal clear, like Roe v. Wade. Like this guy's honestly, if Biden was like, hey, America, this guy's pretty fucked up, right? Like, aren't we fucking tired of this guy? Just like very straightforward. He tried to get rid of democracy. He wants to do all this stuff. I don't know. It's just who said he wants to cut the cops?
You're right. He just needs to bring home the point. I'm old, but look at the other guy. Anything.
And like the debate is not even your biggest problem. It's what the messaging is on all the networks afterwards. And right now, you know that messaging is not good. And had he gotten in a few jabs, right? Had he gotten in some points, maybe we're having a different conversation right now. But right now, we're having a conversation about how terrifying the flagrant liar is, who's promised to do...
Whose opponent is this, like, really, like, gray, like, dying, like, squirrel.
He's not going to be alive in 4 more years of presidency.
Yeah,
he just won't. When is the convention, the Democratic convention?
It is August 19th to August 22nd.
So they got time. They got time to figure it out.
Less than 2 months.
Yeah, it's just like one of those things, and again, it's frustrating, and I'm sure it's frustrating for a lot of Democratic operatives and a lot of, pundits and correspondents who may like to pretend that they're not Democratic operatives. But the fact of the matter is that when he's talking, he talks like this. He says the thing, and it's hard to follow him. And when he's not talking, he like kind of like looks
scared.
He's like kind of scared, and like whether or not that's normal and fine doesn't really matter, because that's not what people see when they're watching. They're not like, he's fine, actually. I see him in the room. Like, they don't see that. They only see what is on TV. And it's a problem. Maybe it's not maybe it's fine. Maybe it's fine.
Maybe it's fine.
Maybe it's
Title
fine.
Of the
actually.
episode? Maybe it's fine, actually.
Maybe it's
fine. Maybe it's fine.
Maybe.
You know what? Maybe.
You know
maybe
what?
It's fine.
Maybe that's where we should leave this for tonight.
Maybe, because maybe it's fine.
Because maybe we are circling a horrible situation.
Or maybe it's fine.
Maybe it's fine.
And maybe it'll get better. Maybe it's fine.
Maybe. Okay. Well, you know what, guys?
Yeah.
Things are bleak. It's been a rough one, but there's one thing you can count on, and that's that we love you very much.
Much.
Look what I can do with the camera now.